Fifth graders, today we are going to start out with some practice boxes for 1-point perspective. So using your ruler and your paper is horizontal or a landscape on your table, we are going to draw a line that is horizontal about in the middle of the paper. So if you want to measure, you can do that. I think when you measure this way, your line is going to be at about 4.5 inches in the middle. So about in the middle, and then in the center of that dot, I'm going to make a point. That is going to be our vanishing point. So that is our horizon line and our vanishing point. Once you have the horizon line and vanishing point, I want you to start by making a square or a box right on that horizon line. So we're talking about this line as our eye level, and I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to make a box that goes right through that horizon line. So some kids prefer to measure. If you're going to measure this and get it to be perfect, you can have it to be about 2 inches by 2 inches. So if I put my ruler right here, that box is about 2 inches long, 2 inches high. I'm giving a little time and we'll probably pause this video. So once we have this box drawn on a horizon line, that line's going right through it, we're going to connect it so that we can see a second side of it. So at this point, we might be touring the room, checking out things that are right at our eye level. On our eye level, we see the front and we see the side of an object. So I'm going to connect the two corners that are closest to that vanishing point. So I'm lining my ruler up with the corner here, and I'm lining my ruler up with the vanishing point, and I'm going to draw an angled line to the vanishing point. And I'm going to do the same thing at the top from the corner to the vanishing point. So my lines are not going through the box. I'm not using these two corners. I'm using the two that are closest. Now, to end this box, we need to make a parallel line on this side that's by the vanishing point. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the side of my box, and I'm going to slide my ruler, keeping it parallel, straight up and down. I'm not tilting it or turning it. And I'm going to slide it towards the vanishing point, and I'm going to make a line. So this line I just made and the one on the side of the box are parallel. So if I were to shade this in, and you can shade as well, I'm going to have a side to my box, and then I'm going to have the front. So what I'm doing when I'm shading is I'm trying to make these two different values. I've got a really light value and I've got a darker value to show that this is two-dimensional or has two sides. If you want, you can erase the guidelines that are headed to the vanishing point. Those are just there to help us draw it correctly. We don't need them for our finished box. So I have a 1-point perspective box drawn at my eye level, right on that line. Next, we're going to draw a line or a box that's above our eye level, so something that we'd have to look up to see. So I'm going to move it over to the other side of the paper, and I'm going to make sure that it does not come close to the horizon line. It's also to the side of the vanishing point. So I didn't draw it right above it, I slid it over. So again, about 2 inches by 2 inches if you're measuring. Otherwise, just use your ruler and try to get some straight lines on those sides. As we look around the room and we find things that are above our eye level, we're noticing that we see more sides. We see the front, we see the side, and we can even see the bottom. So if you think about walking under a skywalk, like at the Monroe Clinic, when you can walk or drive under that little walkway that connects the new hospital and the old hospital, you can actually see the bottom and the side and the front. I am going to connect corners of this box to the vanishing point. So using my ruler, I'm going to line it up with the 3 corners that are closest to the vanishing point. So my ruler touches the corner of this box, and my ruler touches my vanishing point, and I draw an angle. I'm going to do that to the next corner, lining it up here, angling my ruler so it's going to touch that vanishing point, And then I'm going to do the same thing at that top corner that's by the vanishing point. I am not using this far away corner. So I see 3 sides, I connect 3 corners. Now the trickiest part, making those parallel lines. So my ruler is going to line up with the bottom of this box that I started with. And my ruler is staying very straight, and I'm going to slide it down. And I'm going to make a line that's between these 2 going to the vanishing point. So there's my parallel line, parallel with the bottom of this box. Now, to help me out, I am going to shade this so I can see what I'm doing. So this is the bottom of that box. So if you want to shade the bottom in, you can do that. Now, the most difficult line that we've drawn. I need to get the side of this box. So I'm going to use my ruler, line it up with the edge of that box that I made, keeping my ruler straight up and down, keeping it parallel with the side of that box. I am going to slide my ruler until it reaches that corner of the bottom, and then draw a parallel line. So now what I have right here, and I'm going to make this one even darker, is I have the side of my box. So I have a side, a bottom, and a front. So to finish that box up, you can also add value to the front of it so that you have 3 different values to show those 3 different sides. We are ready to make our last box today for our warm-up, and this box is going to be below the horizon line. So again, I don't want it to touch that line, and I don't want it right below the vanishing point, so I'm going to slide it over here where I have a lot of room. Using my ruler, I'm going to make a box. And at this point, if you're feeling pretty confident that you know what to do, you can start on your own. I am still going to do this step by step on the video if you want to watch step by step. So things below our eye level, like the tables in our room. We see the top of the table, so we got to do something up here. We see the side of the table, and we can also see the front. So 3 sides, 3 corners. The 3 corners that are close to the point, not the one way off in the distance. So I'm lining my ruler up with all those corners, having them go to the vanishing point. And then I need to work on those parallel lines. So I'm going to line up the top of the box, and I'm going to slide it up, keeping it parallel towards the vanishing point, and I make a line right here, stopping it at this diagonal line, and it's parallel with this top of the box. So I am going to sketch that in and shade it in so I can kind of see that better. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the edge, starting lining it up parallel. I slide this ruler, I'm not tilting, I'm not turning, I'm keeping it parallel, straight up and down until I get to that corner, and I draw the edge. I'm going to make this one darker than the top of the box. And maybe the front is really, really a light value, barely touching. If you want to erase these guidelines, you can. For this practice, you might want to keep them on so you can remember how you created these boxes. Okay? So, if something is not quite right, it is probably because your lines are not parallel. So as you start drawing and doing this on your own, oftentimes kids do not make these lines parallel. They turn them slightly, and then they shade in, and they can see that that box just doesn't quite look right. It's because this line that I just made is not parallel. So as you start doing this kind of drawing on your own, and as we continue to practice today, check for parallel lines.